So this one may be a little bit longer than most. I respect your time. So I am going to put chapters at the bottom. If you pull up the little description thing, there will be chapters in there. If you want to skip ahead to anything, go for it. I respect your time, and I don't want you to have to sit through the parts you don't want to have to sit through. Alright, so I'm still sitting down here in Otay. Just, if I keep looking this way, it's because I got the load board on auto refresh every 15 seconds. I got people going by me out here, and then I got some notes that I kind of jotted down on my iPad, just a couple things I wanted to cover. So if I keep looking away, it's not that I'm trying to look at you, it's that I got somebody going by in a red car waving at me. So anyway, while I was on the money, I figured I'd break down the last couple of weeks. What I'm about to do, I'm hesitant to do, only because it's like I feel like this comes across as a brag, and it's basically it's people making videos like I'm about to make that kind of inspired me to go full bore with this whole trucking thing. There's people out there, just a few of them, like people like Just Trucking, people like Vlogs 18, if I can talk. These guys breaking down their numbers and actually showing, like, what did everything do? Yeah, you made this money, but how, what did it take to make it, and what did you keep afterwards? So, for me, it feels a little out of place. It feels like what I'm getting ready to do is like a brag, but keep in mind, I can't control how you perceive or receive this message, but my intentions are to just put the numbers out here, and hopefully you appreciate that. Hopefully it's inspiring to somebody out there, somebody like me, considering like a career change or something. But enough about that. Also, this one may be a little bit longer than most. I respect your time. So I am going to put chapters at the bottom. If you pull up the little description thing, there will be chapters in there. If you want to skip ahead to anything, go for it. I respect your time, and I don't want you to have to sit through the parts you don't want to have to sit through. So, first things first, one thing I've never brought up, but one thing that's very important, is to talk about the barriers to entry as far as getting into trucking. For me, I paid $80,000 for this truck. I paid $80,000 for my trailer. Because I'm new at this, I'm paying $32,000 a year for insurance. Right there, we're $200,000 in the hole. So, that's something that, something to consider. I don't want, I'd hate to misrepresent this and be like, oh, just go get in a truck and start making money. No, there were barriers to entry there's going to be barriers to entry into this type of business for anybody. So just keep that in mind. Did I overpay for stuff? Yeah. Did I jump in at the wrong point? Yeah. But I sat there for 6 months watching these things kind of, go up in price, go up in price, go up in price. I have no doubt that if I bought my truck and trailer 3 years ago, what I spent $160 on probably would have only cost me like $80,000 for both. So I got tired of standing on the sidelines watching stuff happen. I wanted to be in it. So there came a point to jump in. I chose that time, and was it the best time? Probably not, but I own that decision. As far as as far as now buying the truck, I did go up to Fontana. I made 2 days out of it. I got a hotel room up there. I walked into every truck dealer, and I started out, not misrepresenting myself. I went in, and it's like, hey, I'm new to trucking. I'm thinking about starting a trucking business. I walked in. Two things: I had great credit. I think my credit was like in the 820s, 830s, and I did have more money in the bank than I was asking to borrow for a truck. However, given these two things, I got auto loan quotes for, the best I got was 18%, the highest I got was 30%. There's no way, absolutely no way, that I'm going to pay somebody 30% on an auto loan after working so hard to, build up my credit, to save up some money over the years, that type of stuff. So, what I ended up doing is I had to make a decision. Do I want to bet on myself, basically? How much am I willing to buy into this dream of mine of doing it? And so what I ultimately did, I took $160,000 that my wife and I had saved. I have to include her in this because the lion's share of that 160 was probably hers, but we're a team. Great. We took $160,000 that we had saved, that we had available to us, and I bought a truck and a trailer. That's how much. That's how involved I was in this dream moving forward. So enough about that. I'll have future content as far as like these toxic loans. These guys. You walk into these places, a 30% auto loan on an $80,000 purchase. That's insane. If that's what you end up having to do, I'm not knocking you. I mean you no disrespect. It just doesn't make financial sense for me to give somebody 30% on an auto loan for any amount, let alone, $160,000. So last 2 weeks, You know, the underlying theme of my videos up until now, there's always a part where it's like, you know, I've got these obligations at home, or I've got something with the kids' school. That's all been super important to me. In fact, the family is the most important thing to me. I mean, it's the family's why I do this. The family's why. I mean, my wife works too. I don't want to, you know, say, oh, she's doing whatever. I mean, she has a decent job. She does her, you know, she's got her own stuff going. There might be a new load here. Let's just see. I'm sorry, recently added. Oh, that's at 4 in the morning. I'm sorry, I'm not, it's 11 hours away. Anyway, keep this thing on auto refresh. So, yeah, wife and I saved up the money, bought the truck. So yeah, the last things, you know, as far as the, you know, the kids, the commitments at home, that type of stuff, you know, that's the most important thing. That's what I focus on. So, something changed a couple weeks ago. Kids were out of school. Now that meant for me, and I've been kind of saying, like, you know, I've been working like a day or two, sometimes 3 days a week, but I mean, I've made it to like all their end of school functions, field trips, stuff like that. So those last 2 weeks, I made $6,200 and $6,300 respectively per week. Now, of that, I've been talking about these trailer jobs. They keep calling me, you know, $1,000 a night to move trailers around the yard. That's what I did for 10 shifts during those, you know, 14-day time period. I did that 10 times, $10,000. It's, let's see here, 10 trailers. Then on top of that, there's been like a bunch of little shifts as far as like, you know, would it be, you know, like earlier, I came out to do the Poway one for $355. I'll probably put that at the beginning of this video. It's little stuff like that. I mean, is that worth taking the truck out and, you know, burning up the hours of service to go do the Poway thing? Probably not in itself, but I mean, you know, if the trailer job gets done at, let's say, 9, 10 in the morning, and right afterwards there's one. I mean, my favorite one so far was, there was one that went across the street. Literally, it was from one location to the other. You can't see where I'm pointing, but if you remember that drone video, it literally is across the street. It is, you know, and they paid $100 a mile. It was 2 miles, so it was like $200 to do this quick little trip across the street. It took up like 25 minutes of my time. It's like, yeah, let's schedule that when the trailer holster thing done. And it's all, and keep in mind, I'm doing this all legitimately, like all within my hours of service. So, you know, there's been little stuff like that. So basically, you add up the two amounts in 2 weeks, $12,500. During that time, I used 152 gallons of fuel. My fuel is $6.70 a gallon is what I had in there at the time. Thank you, California. That's a grand total of $1,018. I do use the toll road coming here. I did a cost analysis breakdown on that. The toll does cost $7 one way, $14 round trip, but it saves me, I believe it's like 11 miles plus the time, the wear and tear on the truck. It's like, I'm probably spending more on fuel driving around. At first, I mean, I kind of had this attitude of, I'm not going to take the toll road, that's $7. Well, actually the $7 is cheaper for me in the long run because it's less fuel, less wear and tear on the truck, and it saves me time. So it's like a triple win. It's not even like a double win, it's a triple win. So excited about the toll road. So 14 tolls at $7 a piece is $98. That is $11,384 net in 2 weeks. I've been working really hard to kind of minimize my expenses and to try to stay as local as I can. And then another thing to keep in mind, and again, this isn't meant to come across as a brag, for all of these 14 days that I'm talking about, I was home every day. There was no sleeping in the truck. There was no far away. There was no, hey, I'm in Florida and now I need to get home. I was home every day, slept in my own bed for all 14 of those days. I wrote too much. Now, keep in mind, you hear $11,000 in 2 weeks. That sounds exciting. Yeah, is it all profit? No. I mean, some of that money needs to be kept. The truck is going to break. I just did my 90-day inspection, another California requirement, and I got front brakes, $650. Also, keep in mind, I threw out there earlier that I'm paying $32,000 a year for insurance. Am I getting hosed on insurance? You bet I am. But I'm new at this, and it's like, hey, you got to start somewhere. I mean, the insurance I had for the first 2 months when I started this, the insurance I had was actually $40,000 a year. So it's like, I'm excited for the $32,000 a year because I'm saving $8,000 a year. It's like, great. Now, here's the fun part. Let's compare this to what I used to do for work. I went to college for 8 years and I earned what is called a PharmD, or a Doctor of Pharmacy degree. After working in the drugstore, you know, it was like I kind of saw the, you know, the people who, I mean, basically I can pinpoint, I can't tell you the date, but I can tell you the day. There was a Thursday back in 1993. I was working for the drugstore, and there's a pharmacist that worked there. His name was Tom. Now, in 1993, I was in high school. I was making $5.25 an hour. If you're judging me by 2022 standards, you're gonna be like, man, you were broke. It's like, well, $5.25 an hour was $1 above minimum wage back then, and I felt rich. Long story short, Tom comes out of the, you know, I know it was a Thursday because it was payday. We're in the break room together, and he comes down and shows me his check. I'm making $5.25 an hour, and this guy makes $50 an hour. And it was, you know, people say, like, can you pinpoint in your life, like, where something happened? Can you say, like, where did this go? Where did this go right, or where did this go wrong? I can tell you that that moment in my life was life-changing. It was just like, wait a minute, this guy makes in a day what I make, or this guy makes in an hour what I make in a day. This guy makes in a day what I make in a week. I mean, it was just, and right then and there, I suddenly, my whole world just started, I became like laser focused in on pharmacy. It was like, okay, well, that's gonna be me one day. I'm gonna make that money, and I'm gonna go to school and all that kind of stuff. And I did. Okay, so, you know, and then for those of you who know me, you're gonna be probably calling BS right now. You're gonna be like, hey, you know, your dad's a pharmacist. He had to have told you somewhere along the way. You gotta understand, I love my dad, but my dad talks to me in code. My dad never once came home and was like, son, look at my paycheck. That's not the way my dad works. My dad's, he has way more humility than that. Way more, I mean, I'm kind of wired the other way. He's like, you know, son, this is, you know, his way of encouraging me to go to school would have been like, son, if you work hard and study, one day you can have everything you want. But he never would have come out and told me, you know, the $50 an hour thing. Also, you know, if I went to my dad today and I said, like, man, this person pissed me off, I'm gonna like harm them, I'm gonna do violence, he wouldn't come to me and say, son, I don't think that's a good idea. That's not his style. His style would be like, son, I think you should probably cut your hair because I think the other inmates at the Chino men's colony might admire you too much. Might go see a barber. You know, he never will come out and tell me you shouldn't do this. He'll always give me the other reason, is like, have you thought this all the way through? And you know what, here's the thing, I love him, he's right. I mean, there's just no way around it. He's 100% of the time he's right. And you know, so that's my dad code. But anyway, so let's see here. So I mean, you know, and then at the time, I mean, I was so focused on that $50 an hour. I was so focused on that, and I saw pharmacy as being like, hey, it's me and like you're the person at the counter. It's just this one-on-one. You know, I can answer your questions. Hopefully I can be of use to you. Hopefully I can, you know, I wasn't inherently a smart person growing up. I got terrible grades in high school, and it was like, you know, the learning process was difficult for me. But I thought, you know, one day, if I can learn all these things and learn all this stuff, I could explain it to anybody on any level, because it's like I kind of I grew up out of this not knowing anything. I mean, when I say I didn't know anything and my grades were bad in high school, I remember finger painting in my first college math class. I mean, that's about the level I was at, and I had to get up here, and the distance between these two was a little bit of learning involved. But so let's see where I'm at. I'm trying to do this all as like one video so I don't have to go in and edit it. And I apologize if it's long, but let's see here. So, you know, so I saw it as this one-on-one reaction. You and me right here, we're at the counter. What can I answer for you? You know, that kind of stuff. What I didn't realize is you're probably coming in with like insurance, and they're gonna have some rules for me. I'm gonna have a boss. They're gonna have a boss. The grand boss. They're gonna have a boss, great grand boss, so on and so forth. So there's tons of bosses. I didn't really recognize early on, you know, all the governing bodies around pharmacy, you know, that there's going to be like a DEA, a board of pharmacy, these people who love to come in and Monday morning quarterback you on every decision you've ever made, you know, that kind of stuff. I didn't foresee this. I just didn't see it at the time. I knew about the dress code, I knew about the schedule, but I didn't know that I'd be answering to a scheduler who literally would have control over 100% of my time. And I know you're thinking, oh, that's just working hours. No, they tell you when you can have time off, and, you know, when you can have, you know, time off, time on, that type of stuff. Oh, you're off this day, you haven't done 40 hours, we're going to put you at this store. And it was like, what if I don't want to go? What if I just want to take the day off? So I didn't foresee the scheduler being an issue in my life. And ultimately, I thought that, like, you know, I thought people would treat me different. I thought that, I thought that the people who I was helping out on the sales floor for so long, you know, the same people who were like, I want you to call the manufacturer and find out if you can expedite a case of pork and beans here for me because you have it on sale and I don't want a rain check and that's false advertising. I thought those people would kind of go away, and it just so happened that those people still were in my life. They were just asking for different things now. Now it was like, well, my doctor wrote my Tylenol 3 prescription for number 60, but I really need 90 a month because TID dosing treats my breakthrough pain a lot better than 60. And it was like, oh my God. And you know, if you're looking at this and you're like a pharmacist who graduated after 2012 and you're like, we would never do that. You know, prior to like 2012, let's say 2010, pharmacy was kind of like the wild, wild west. You're probably looking at me the way that I look at the guys who used to have Quaalude in the pharmacy. It's like, oh, that old timer guy. It's like, yeah, I guess I'm that guy now. But I mean, stuff like that, you know, calling, changing, you know, hydrocodone hasn't always been a schedule too. I guess I'll leave it at that. Let's see here. So yeah, same problems. I'm just dressed differently. I've got on a little white costume, jacket, whatever. You know, now let's compare the numbers to like my final pharmacist job versus trucking. My final pharmacist job paid me $67 an hour. I worked 40 hours a week. It's $2,680 a week. After taxes, the tax bracket we were in, I kept about 68 cents on the dollar, so 2,680 quickly turned into $1,822 a week. I felt like I was doing okay. There was this little voice inside of my head saying, you know, don't ever look outside of pharmacy for another job. Nothing's going to pay you this well. You know, I had society being like, you know, oh, you don't want to be a truck driver, you'll never be home. And then, you know, I had people who I'd share my dream with of like, you know, I've always just wanted to drive a truck. There's always been something about it. I can't explain it, but you know, these people would, a knee-jerk reaction would always be like, but you're a pharmacist. It's like, yeah. And I guess my point here is, you know, stop listening to other people. Don't ever let anybody make you second guess your dream. And on that dream, I mean, fully vet it. For how many years did I sit there working at a counter that, like, I mean, I don't want to say I didn't like pharmacy. I liked it. I didn't love it. But, you know, how many years did I sit there at a pharmacy counter saying like, oh, you know, this is just what I'm going to do in life. This is what I worked hard to be here. It pays me all right. I'm going to keep doing it. Well, you know, it kills me that I listened to that little voice for so long. So, you know, and then if we get down to like quality of life stuff, I mean, it's like, look, I have no schedule. I have no dress code. I have no boss. I have no governing body over me. I mean, no board of pharmacy, no DEA. You know, as far as what I'm able to do, my kids had 3 field trips, 2 school events, and a graduation. My son graduated from the 5th grade. And we, you know, I was doing all of it. As a pharmacist, I would have been lucky to make it to one of those. Maybe one, if that. And when I say one, I mean like one tops. The rest of them would have been like, no, we gave you the day off for that. We're not gonna, we can't do that on this one. So, you know, and then, you know, I drive around in my truck. I listen to my kind of music on the radio. I'm just cruising down the highway. I love it. You know, and the one thing that pharmacy, if I'm being honest, the one thing that pharmacy does have truck driving beat, pharmacy was way less physical. I do these trailer jobs. I'm here for 10 hours at night, and I mean, you know, I probably get, you know, 50 to 70 trailers. I come home, I'm sweaty. It's like I've worked out. I mean, there's a physicality to trucking that pharmacy didn't have. So, I mean, if I'm being fair and I'm looking at both jobs and trying to compare them, pharmacy was less physical than truck driving. And then, let's see. I've never tried to do this with a split screen here, I'm sorry. And then, you know, finally the pay. I mean, hey, how long did I listen to that little voice telling me nothing will pay you like pharmacy does? I was wrong. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, oh yeah, but Todd, you know, the 11.3, you're still gonna have to pay taxes on that. You're, you know, assuming you're still in the same tax bracket of, you know, 68 cents on the dollar, that's gonna go down to $7,684. And you know what? You're right, but that will only happen once I become profitable. Remember I told you I paid $80,000 for this truck and $80,000 for the trailer? Well, once I pay myself back for that money, yes, I do owe money on taxes. Guess what? I can't wait to pay taxes because that just means I'm profitable. But you know, I've had a couple of good weeks, but I'm still really in the hole in this. I mean, I still have to pay myself back for the money that I've put out to be able to sit in this seat here today. So yeah, there's you know, I'll start paying taxes as soon as I make that $160,000 back. there's, you know, I'll have future stuff on like the tax benefits of self-employment, of trucking, is, you know, kind of like why I see trucking as like the perpetual tax exemption, because, you know, I mean, you do have the cost of the equipment, but you also have, you know, I mean, every gallon I buy of fuel, every dollar I spend on insurance, everything I need to spend to upgrade this, that kind of negates how much money I'm spending on taxes. So there is a huge benefit to self-employment. I think there's a huge benefit in trucking. I'm in the process of finding out. I'll let you know. You know, and in closing, I have absolute freedom of everything that I do. I go where I want, I go when I want. My son came out with me the other day, did one of these trailer shifts with me, wanted to see what I do at work, and he's like, Dad, don't you get lonely? You know, and it was like, you know, listen, my immediate response is like, hey, I don't. You know, after 30 years of being told what to do, being told what to wear, how to act, when I can eat, when I have to be there, when I don't, you know, always watching for, is there somebody at the counter? Does somebody need my help? Is, you know, am I ignoring somebody? And, you know, here comes a negative Yelp review. You know, after having that be my life for the last 30 years, this feels pretty good. This feels right. So, you know, in closing, I hope this video serves you well. I'm sorry if I went over, I'm sorry if I went long, but there's a lot to unpack here. As always, hope this video serves you well. Thank you for watching. Take care.